The market for altcoins is not that pretty recently. Seeing TonCoin going down is not really a surprise. Let's have a look at whether or not it might make sense to buy this bottom. Let's have a look at some data points most people are not considering, because I think there's something going on most people haven't yet noticed. Now we're currently at roughly $6 per TON and we are relatively low on a sideways trading range. Let's have a look at a few fundamentals. Let's start off with token inflation. It appears as if TonCoin's token inflation is not really a problem. The supply grew from 5,087 million in June of 2023 to currently 5,109 million. If we annualize that growth, we see only 0.38% of supply growth during that time span. That's even less inflation than Bitcoin. Bitcoin has an inflation of 0.85%. But I think there is something fishy in the numbers. When we look at the usage of the Ton blockchain relative to the capital that's moving, etc., things don't really make that much sense. Check this out. What we've got over here is the number of accounts created per month in the last year. It peaked in May at roughly 12 million new accounts. It then slowly declined, but still in the millions of new accounts every month. And of course, August has just started, so we can ignore this data point. At the same time, we see the number of total transactions being in the hundreds of millions. In other words, one account on average does 20 transactions on chain per month roughly. And when we look at the total value locked graph, as in how much capital is on the Ton blockchain, things seem to be quite fine. Yes, there is recently a dip, but that dip is mainly caused by the Ton price itself going down. Measured in TON, the growth looks very much intact. Now, a lot of that growth is due to the ston.fi application. 300 million of the total 680 million are just in that single application. But when we have a look at the actual application, there isn't that much trading volume here. 10 million for the most active of the liquidity pools in the last 24 hours. Compare this with the trading volume on Ethereum. That's 1.6 billion. So 160 times the size. Have a look at the trading volume on Solana, 1.7 billion, same magnitude. Check out the Binance Smart Chain, 600 million. So for whatever reason, the total value locked on Solana relative to Ton is only 8 times the size, but the trading volumes that we can actually see on the most used decentralized application is not just 8 times smaller, it's 170 times smaller. Some numbers seem to be inflated here. The number of active accounts, I believe, isn't that accurate either. Because again, that's the beauty of the blockchain. We can have a look at the transactions to the Ton network, for example. How much capital is getting bridged from, say, Ethereum over to Ton? We don't have the best on-chain analytics for Ton, but we do have them for Ethereum. Have a look at this. This is the Ton Ethereum bridge addresses. How many addresses or how many wallets have bridged over to Ton on a given day? And this hovers around 100, maybe peaking at around 300 wallets per day. But that's the entire magnitude. That's a far cry from the millions of accounts that get created every month. Have a look at the dollars that get bridged over from Ethereum to Ton. Yes, there are weeks where millions of dollars get bridged. The peak was at roughly 3 million in the second week of April of this year. But again, this is a far cry from those $680 million total value locked. It's not capital that's flowing in from Ethereum for sure. Now there's different ways to own Ton, right? You can buy the Ton coin on the centralized exchange. This is what most people do. You can also buy the bridged versions on Ethereum and on the Binance Smart Chain. So there are equivalent tokens on ETH and on the BSC. And the good news is that we can dive into those statistics very transparently on chain. So on Ethereum, we've got 28,000 holders of TonCoin. On the Binance Smart Chain, we've got 68,000 holders. So it appears as if there's more capital even on the Binance Smart Chain compared to Ethereum, but this is only the first impression, and that impression is actually wrong. Let me show you a bit of a complex setup of charts. I know at the beginning it can be a bit overwhelming, but I'll walk you through this. What we see here is Ethereum data. So how many holders are there over time for the Ethereum-based TON token. And we've got this since inception. That's the first line over here. And we've got this only for the last month. That's the second line. Now there are minimum holding thresholds to be counted in those graphs. For the left charts, you have to hold at least 100 TON tokens to be counted. But at the current price, that's roughly $600. That's what I'd consider retail. For the chart in the middle, we go at 10x from that. So that's a minimum of 1,000 tokens. So that's now $6,000. For the right chart, we go another 10x. That's now at least $60,000. That's what I'd consider whales. Long term, all wallet cohorts seem to be buying. In the last month, it was mainly small retail that accumulated. Medium-sized retail and whales didn't do much. Here are the same kind of charts, but not for the Ethereum chain, but for the Binance Smart Chain. Here we can see that the whales are actually exiting. We can also see that the number of retail investors isn't growing since April of 2022. So everybody that's buying TON on-chain seems to be doing this on the Ethereum chain, not on the Binance Smart Chain. But here's the interesting part. There seems to be hidden sell pressure because the number of whales that is shrinking over here is offsetting pretty much the number of whales that grow over here, right? So on the Ethereum chain, whales enter. On the Binance Smart Chain, whales exit, but those two effects are pretty much offsetting each other. For medium-sized retail and for small retail, we rather see growth. Now the growth is not massive, but it is existent. Now when the number of small retail wallets is growing by 5 to 10% in the last month, why did the price of TON then go down by 20%, while at the same time Bitcoin simply didn't move at all and Ethereum went down only by 10%? Why did TON underperform that much? We can't see it on chain. And it also doesn't seem to be token inflation, at least officially. Is $6 here actually the bottom? Is TON potentially now a good buy? Let's check out relative valuation charts. Let's not just look at the US dollar chart, but at relative valuation to Ethereum. Because Ethereum is obviously the largest competitor with its own smart contract platform. This is TON relative to ETH. And it's interesting how this is pumping and dumping relatively predictably. There is a pretty clear trading range. And unfortunately, we are pretty high on that trading range. The potential gain is maybe 20 or 21%. The potential loss, though, is 60%, maybe even 65%. TON is very much dominated by centralized exchange trading. Most trading volume happens on OKX, Bybit, MEXC, etc. And we've also got perpetual futures again on Bybit and on OKX, but Binance is also part of the party. And so maybe the selling pressure might be coming from those centralized exchanges. Maybe they got some TON and most people aren't aware of that allocation. There is an article that discusses this. Feel free to Google that article. It's on Medium. It's titled TON Blockchain, a group of related whales mined 85% of TON supply. That article came out in March of 2023. So feel free to check it out. It's something that might explain why we see this massive volatility in the price relative to Ethereum from time to time. While in terms of adoption, in terms of numbers of wallets, we actually see relatively constant growth. Why would the price of TON suddenly dump relative to ETH by 70% when there's more and more people jumping on the investment? The only explanation I have is that some whales on those centralized exchanges are distributing. I know critical reviews on cryptocurrencies don't necessarily get thumbs up because everybody wants to hear their investment do well, but I try to keep it as real as possible. If you appreciate this, feel free to give it a thumbs up and feel free to also subscribe. I publish videos regularly on this channel. In case you've got Telegram, then feel free to join us. The link is down below. It's 100% free. And if your crypto portfolio is larger than $5,000 US, it might make sense for you to also join Premium. There's all kinds of tutorials. I also share my own trades over there. It's down below as well, thebitcoinstrategy.com. See you over there as well. Cheers.